I think, in my point being, I think there's more support for Black women than you realize, and I think that you're looking at the particular comments by those people that are posting stuff online that doesn't speak for every Black man within America, and that's a generalization. And so, me being personally doing this show as many years as I've been doing this show, I couldn't even do this show without Black women. You know, from the support that I got from my parents and my mother's strong support, and from you, and from the strong Black women that helped me produce this show over the 22 years that it's been on the air. I love Black women. How many times have we done stories about Black women disappearing when we didn't hear it even on the major news? From Cleveland to North Carolina, all over the place. So we love Black women on this show.
And
we
that's an excellent
Black
point. That's an excellent point, because that's the other thing when they're talking about 60,000 Black women missing. Why isn't there more of an uproar over a situation like that? Could you blame a Black woman for now saying, I don't feel supported? From a small incident like the Gabrielle Union Terry Crews situation to a larger incident like that? You know, even if you have nothing to do with it, you would want. I mean, if you
look at Mitrice Richardson. Look at what the story. How many stories we did on Mitrice Richardson that it took such a long time just to even make it to the major news, and then they eventually found her body and her lovely mother and stuff. And we talked about that consistently on the show because we love Black women. We want our Black women to be safe, and we see that y'all are under siege because you've been objectified, and then we see what happened. They didn't even care enough to even find her, and then we find out that she's dead, and they found her body and stuff. So
yeah, and I'm not making a negative, all men feel the same way comment, but what I'm saying is that how come if you can name one, I'd be glad to hear you correct me, but I can't remember anyone specifically speaking out in support of Black women publicly, the same way we've heard the negative comments from Snoop Dogg, from 50 Cent, from, all the people who are arguing over, Black men, not getting due process. I've heard that side. I haven't heard anyone say, well, what about, the fact that, there were 14-year-old girls that may have been involved in the R. Kelly situation. Is this something we should, if you look at the history, I don't know how many people have read as much about the Black Panthers, but when you read the story about what they went through, what they did, patrolling the streets with guns, legally with guns, following police cars, and when the police stopped Black people, they would get out their car and say, when you think about that level of protection within the community, that's unity to me. And I don't hear any stories along those lines, or any stories that move towards correcting the division that exists in our community. And that's why I think a lot of people are upset. I think that's why a lot of women are feeling like there are too many stories of Black men not supporting Black women, and not say it doesn't exist, but how come it isn't front and center?
Well,
the way the negative is.
It's too many stories about those famous Black men who are not being supportive. What about the everyday Black brother who's with his sister and loves his family and stuff? We don't hear about that. You never hear about those things. So, I mean, we could push that particular issue and because we always hear about the negative stuff that Black men are doing and never the positive. We always hear more about how many Black men are locked up, but yet there are more Black men in college than they are in prison. There are a lot of Black men out here doing the right thing. And it doesn't seem like women are saying that. We always see these shows where they come on and there's always a sad song about what the Black man is doing wrong. Never any stories about what the Black man is doing right. So let's think about that for a second. Well, Black men might feel that they're not being supported either.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, and that's the discussion that probably needs to be held. But even
that doesn't mean that. Let me say this, and that doesn't mean I don't feel supported. Think about how I feel. Think about this situation, right? And don't take this the wrong way. This show is called Black Men Screaming, but yet you've been on it for 10 years. Why? Because you have a brilliant mind and a brilliant perspective and stuff. And we love Black women. And we didn't want to just have a show where just Black men gave their opinion and we didn't have women having a voice to say something.
Even the situation, and like I said, there's too many news situations that are highlighting the negative. Even the situation with Rihanna and Chris Brown years and years ago, I don't know whether or not people were afraid to take sides, but even if you didn't know what happened, if you had a strong conviction against a man putting his hand on a woman,
right,
should be no reason why you couldn't stand up. And I don't care what she said. I don't care what she did. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, people contribute to arguments or debates or whatever the case is, where you know that it's not just a one-sided story. But if your argument is that a man should never put a hand on a woman, when situations like that happen, you should be able to comfortably speak up in support of the woman, whether it's because she's
my
of
argument is
lesser
nobody
strength,
should put.
etc.
My argument is nobody should put their hands on anybody, not just a man putting his hand on a woman. It's the reverse also. Women shouldn't be putting her hand on a man. So we have to make sure that we're clear about that, because you have some women that that'll hit a man and don't expect the man to respond back. And guess what? There's some men that are gonna knock the hell right out of you if you hit
that's
them.
the lesser. That's the. But we're talking about, when I say the reason
I'm talking.
bringing up
I'm
the
just saying
women
to you,
is because we're talking about the person of lesser strength and their ability to protect themselves in an onslaught.
I'm saying to you that nobody should be putting their hand on anybody else, because if somebody punched you, you're gonna respond to that. And so men don't like that standard. Like, for example, with this whole thing, and let's get into this thing with the Me Too movement or whatever, where it's painting, they're attacking men, and then now you have all these women attacking black men. Oh, we're misogynist. We're all of these different things.
The reason the Me Too movement has become so prevalent, and the dangers that are associated with the repercussions of disbelief far outweigh they outweigh the for the same reason that when a woman is raped and she goes to court, that the defense lawyer tries to discredit her reputation, what did she wear, all of those things, to discourage her from doing that, or from reporting it, or discourage other people watching her go through that from reporting it, is the same reason why we have to put a little bit more empathy into situations like that. Because if a woman is attacked, then there's going to be a lot of psychological things going on besides the physical attack. So I think that the Me Too movement cannot be discounted as just an all-out attack just for the sake of attacking, if we don't have empathy for the true nature of the situation.
Well, I was thinking about something, and again, part of the problem is the media with itself. I was looking at a situation where there was a series of rapes of women of color in Queens, yet you hardly saw anything on the news about it. If it wasn't circulated like online between individuals and stuff who actually posted information or whatever, you wouldn't even have known about it. And then all of a sudden, when people started complaining about there wasn't any press, then you saw the information out there in a task force, and you can call and all of that. And so we get it. It wasn't that I didn't recognize that. I was like, wow. I mean, the value of black women, the safety of black women, the lack of information that was put out there when this was going on, and the lack of connection. When you see another situation where there were several black women attacked, but you saw there was one white woman that was attacked, and she ended up being killed. And you saw how the press talked about that almost every day. We know what the case we're talking about in Howard Beach. But yet you had several black women that were attacked in a particular community, and you heard nothing about it. So the press plays a big role in that. We talked about that in terms of the differences of when someone of color disappears versus someone that is white that disappears, and the way the press plays into the racial components of that situation.
And that's probably why the community, people in the community, rely on the community to support them, even when they don't get the support from the media or the judicial system or other areas. I just want to promote the big picture, and I think the big picture is making sure that we do not promote a divisive mentality, and that without these circumstances, there's already a break in unity within our community in terms of addressing some of our major problems of underfunding of schools, protection in our neighborhood, no violence, black on black violence, things of that nature. I think to add a component that actually severs the connection of, relationships, family, etc., by pitting one sex against the other, I think it serves to hurt and not help the community. And if the big picture is unity, because it's needed for a variety of reasons, politically, socially, emotionally, etc., I think we need to concentrate on pushing that to the side.
And I think that I personally, since I'm not as in depth as you are online, I don't personally believe that is that big of a division in terms of black men supporting their women. I think that black men are supportive of their women, at least the ones that I know. And I think that the idea that there needs to be more public support, I can go with that. I can see where you're saying that, because I can see how black women are dealt with in terms of how the media portrays them. And I think that you're 100% right that we need to be more supportive, more vocal in that aspect of it.
Yeah, and again, I think communication is necessary, because while one side may think I'm silently supporting you, the other side may say, I need to hear that you're supporting me, or I need to see that you're supporting me, or I need actions. And the same way that I explained how much pride some of the things that the Black Panthers did in terms of protecting their communities, or even past the Black Panthers, when they had neighborhood watch groups, or
Even
people
before
who
the Black
took
Panthers,
over their,
Deacons of
people who actually
Defense.
took, but the people who actually took their community and handled situations that weren't being handled, by the police or by the government, or those things, those shows of public support are things that mean a lot to the community, and it means a lot to the women, and I think as a result means a lot to the family.